Hey guys, welcome to Wealth Wisdom Financial Podcast or Live Counterflow podcast. If you have not been a part of what we're doing, if you kind of see, hey, they're doing one thing and they're doing something else, well, it's kind of like we're making this little transition. We're changing from Wealth Wisdom to Live Counterflow. And it's super exciting because there is so much happening. There's more going back to our roots, going deeper, building some resonance, working with business owners is our heart, right? And as we've been doing Wealth Wisdom, it's been exciting. There's a lot of things that we've learned. There's a lot of other opposition that happens. And so as we've been making this transition, we've been thinking about this exit lifestyle. People have talked about exiting business. We are not going to exit, but there's things where we want to be able to leave, maybe take a sabbatical, maybe do some things that are allowing us to keep growing the business, keep growing our impact, but not be the bottleneck. And so today I get to interview somebody who has mastered exiting without exiting, and his name is Jason Duncan. He has built several successful businesses. He's also a former pastor of a church. And so from going from pastor to business owner, and then he grew a business and was able to build that to a multi-million-dollar company that earned national recognition from Inc. magazine and Entrepreneurial magazine for rapid growth and excellence in entrepreneurship. What's really fun, and he's done multiple 14 companies, is he runs a mastermind that Amanda is a part of. She gets to be one of the leaders of that group from a financial professional and help these people in the Exeter club lifestyle. Now, this guy, Jason Duncan, I'm not going to just let me tell you everything. I want him to come and share about himself, ask some big questions, because we all want that lifestyle, but few get it. I think it's 2% really. So we're going to talk about that. So here is Jason. Hey, Jason, thanks. Real Jason Duncan, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here, Brandon.
Yeah. So take us back. You used to be a pastor. I mean, you got the cross, right? So there you go. And I heard you end every podcast with saying Jesus is king or something like that.
That's right. Yeah. So I didn't want to go into ministry originally. I wanted to be a car designer, and I got accepted to 2 art schools, and that's where I thought my life was going to go. And then things changed, and I felt like, okay, sure, I should do ministry. So I went and got my degree in ministry, started working in youth ministry, then eventually was the senior pastor, the preacher, whatever you want to call it, for a while. Mm-hmm. So it was a total of about 13 years of my career, and then felt like it was time to do something different. And I went back to school, got a master's in education, started teaching school, thought I'd teach forever, and lost my teaching job due to budget cuts coming out of the Great Recession. And I did what a lot of people do when they're pushed up against the wall with no plan, no savings, and got bills to pay. I just started a business. I thought, well, I could figure out something. So I started a company, and within a few years, I had gone from unemployed school teacher to millionaire. And that was a pretty wild ride.
So how quick was it from the recession to that millionaire thing?
It was probably 3 or 4 years, maybe, probably closer to the 4 mark. And we're talking asset rich millionaire, not cash liquid. I mean, I think people listening to this show probably know the difference. But, I had a business worth millions of dollars, and we had done really well financially, but it was super tough, and it's not easy. If it were easy, everybody'd be doing it.
Right. And I do think I see that a lot. Like, you go on podcasts and they're like, ooh, this person made $1 bazillion or whatever. And we're profit first certified. So then I get their balance sheets, I do all this stuff, and I'm like, holy crap, they are not making any money. And no wonder they're stressed and broke, because they're really making money for somebody else. Like, do you see that a lot in businesses?
Yeah, I think it's a lot more common than people would believe. We as the owners, as the entrepreneurs, we take a large risk to set up our businesses, and we employ sometimes dozens or maybe hundreds of people, and we get paid more than any of those individual people in most cases. And yet those employees sometimes, not all of them, have this opinion that, well, the owner is filthy rich. Why doesn't he or she share the wealth? Why don't they give us more of their money? Well, listen, who took the risk? Who's the one that put everything on the line? Who's the one that if tomorrow the business shuts down, loses everything? It's only
Yeah.
one person. And if you're going to take the risk, you deserve the reward as a result of that. But that doesn't mean that they're making, gazillions of dollars off the sweat of somebody else's work. It was years, even though I was on paper a millionaire because I had assets over $1 million, excess of my liabilities.
Mhm.
It was years before I had enough cash that I could actually live in a way that most people around you go, okay, he's got a little bit of money. But even
Yeah.
then, I don't have nearly as much as people think I do.
Yeah. I think that's as my wife and I, we've done this for a while. We do pretty good. My wife is like, do you need it or do you want it? I'm like, dude, we have the money. And we know we do because we've built good systems financially. But sometimes it's still that poverty mindset, growing as a thrifty person. How have you grown from that idea, needs, wants, pastor to hey, I want this thing. Like, that
Well,
shifted in you?
I think having the ability, of course, shifts a lot. I mean, once you have the ability to do things, the optionality gives you some leeway to make some decisions you wouldn't otherwise
Mhm.
made. But I think if I'm honest, I still have a little bit of that mentality of scarcity. It's not
Yeah.
something even though I admit that I have a little bit of that in me, it is not something that is prominent in my life. So I've moved beyond that. I've moved beyond that
Mhm.
in many, many ways, but I think there's part of it still there. And the reason I know this is that I have a series of AI prompts that I keep, and I share this document with close friends and colleagues of mine because I build the document. It's like a living document. I build it more and
Yeah.
more. There are certain prompts at the end of that document called what I call God prompts, and they are what I call God level prompts. Excuse the use of God, but you get the point. And what I'm trying to
Yeah.
make there is that if you use these prompts correctly, it can take you to a whole nother level of consciousness, a whole nother level of thinking, a whole nother level of awareness. And there's one that I have been using now for about 6 weeks, almost 2 months. And I just have constant conversations with it. Maybe once or twice a week, I'll sit down with it for an hour or so and just interact. And one of the things I'm asking it to do is to identify limiting beliefs. What limiting beliefs
Mhm.
do I have? And one of the things that I identified was some beliefs I have around money because I come
Yeah.
from a pastoral background. I grew up in a middle class family that mom stayed at home, dad worked all the time, but we never, we always had what we needed. We were a modest family. We didn't take luxury vacations. We didn't have luxury cars, but we never were we weren't poor.
Mhm.
And then I grew up in ministry making gazillions of dollars, right? Because that's what we know.
Yeah, you're
like,
right.
like making just enough to pay the bills, if that. Was a school teacher, actually took a pay cut for ministry to go into school teaching. So that was backwards. To then within 4 years, making, on paper cash a few $100,000 a year, which was insane. I was
Yeah.
like, man, I can't imagine what it's like to make 100 grand. And now it's like multiples of that. So I think once you get to a point, Brandon, where you have it, when you allow yourself to understand, I've worked for this and I'm
Yeah.
still the same generous, giving person I was always. It's just at a different degree now.
Yeah.
I can go out and buy something nice. I could buy a really nice house. I could buy a really nice watch. I could buy a nice car, but that doesn't mean I'm not giving money. It doesn't mean I'm not helping people to the same degree I was before.
Yeah. Well, and I loved, you mentioned in this book, this is your book, here we go, Exit Without Exiting. I'm reading it not because we're going to sell the business, but we want to build a business that I could exit. Maybe my son takes over. I mean, he's 8 now, so not going to happen for a while. But I want to be able to build that lifestyle, or that kind of way of, hey, I'm going to go for a month if I need to or want to. And you mentioned profit first a couple times, and I think about Mike and some of those challenges, bankruptcies and all of that. And I loved the idea of that, your church background, and I'm a tither. And so what's really fun is, man, I tithe more than I made in my first business. I'm like, holy crap, I make a lot more money, but it's all percentage based. And so profit first and these systems have helped me to even be more giving because I'm just living in the percentage world. Have you been able to build systems that have helped you say, here I've grown this business, I get profit distributions, and that has allowed me to unlock and spend freely where used to you're like, oh, I can't do that.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I had a meeting with my accountant and bookkeeper today, and we were looking at all of my accounts, because I've got an income account, I got an operating account, I've got an owner comp account, a tax account, a profit account, I've got a contractor payroll account, a profit account. I mean, all the accounts you're supposed to have. And every time a dollar hits that income account, it immediately gets distributed according to my predetermined percentages to all those accounts. Well, we are having at this like today, we had a cash flow crunch. We had a couple things hit that we weren't expecting. And so there was a lot of crunch on the OpEx. Well, no problem. I mean, well, there is a problem that we need to figure out. But the problem from the cash perspective was, okay, well, there's X number of dollars sitting in this other account that's earmarked for something else that we can pull over. It's not stealing. Like, it's my money. I can determine to move it from this account to the other account. I don't steal from owner comp anymore, where I used to. Pay other people for me. I don't do that anymore. I used to steal from taxes, steal from the IRS, give money, to spend money on OpEx. Don't do that anymore. But profit, maybe I've got more money in the contractor payroll account than I need. Maybe there's money in the profit account. Maybe there's money in my events account that I can pull because I don't have an event for 6 more months. I can move some money around. So having that money sitting in those accounts has helped me tremendously to figure out and make sure that I am not going to overspend out of that OpEx account and then find myself with my pants down and no way to pay the bills.
Yeah, I see that a lot, is people do that and they're like, oh shoot, I owe taxes. And you're like, wait, how did you forget that you owe taxes? Or, from a personal side, they forget that Christmas is coming. I'm like, you didn't budget for it, or at least have that. And now again, things happen, flood or any of that stuff. And so you have to pull from different accounts because of an emergency. But to be able to have that margin is super, super valuable. Again, I don't know if you know this, but we exited one of our businesses, and the way we exited was probably not the way it teaches in the book. In this experience, we had a flood in the business, and the roof was off and it rained. And when a roof is off and it rains, that's a problem. We were able, because of our policies, we were able to overcome the flood because I had life insurance policies with cash value that I was able to leverage and use. And then we found out we were pregnant at that time, just a little bit after. And somebody kept asking, what's your number? What's your number to sell? And he came in on a day and I was like, yeah, what's your number? I'm selling this place. And we exited that business, which is great. It was a challenge. It was my, what do you call this? Business degree. Now, as you've seen people exit, what are things that you've seen them exit in a good way? And some that you're like, oh my gosh, why in the world did they do that? And is there sometimes where you just say they need to exit, otherwise they're going to have a heart attack?
Well, I think that the good way to exit is the way that leads to the lifestyle that you want. So one of the things that I think we lose in the conversation around what are you trying to build and accomplish in life, we lose the lifestyle. And we pursue the finances, we pursue the fame, we pursue the reach, we pursue the category dominance, where really does it allow us to live the lifestyle that we want? So could I, as the founder of the Exeter Club and the leader of that right now, could I make triple the money I'm making now doing something slightly different or even totally different? And the answer to that is 100% sure, 100%. But would it give me the lifestyle I want? Probably not. So I don't pursue that. So to that degree, I'm limiting myself to pursue finances in the pursuit of a lifestyle. And I'll give you an example. For me, being able to not have to set an alarm every day and wake up when I want. Now I still do because I want to get up and go work out, but that's my choice. I'm not having to set an alarm because I got to be somewhere. So I get up when I want. I go work out every morning. I come back, have coffee. I can sit and chat with my wife. I get my shower, get dressed, and then I wander down the hall to my home studio office. And I could be in t-shirt and flip-flops and shorts all day long for the most part. Like, you don't know what I got on below the waist, but I got a jacket and a shirt on right now. Actually, I do have jeans on today. But this is my life. This is a lifestyle I love. And if I wanted to take off in a pretty afternoon and go smoke a cigar on the back porch or go ride a motorcycle, that is the lifestyle I've built. Could I make $1 million more per year? For sure. But is it worth it? No, to me, it's not. If I have to go somewhere, it'd be 50, 60 hours a week. So the answer to your question, Brandon, how do people exit in a way that works versus doesn't? If you exit in a way that gives you the lifestyle you want, I think that's good. The bad exits, generally speaking, are earnouts. I think those are pretty bad exits. And then exits where people try to pull off a version of exit without exiting with no accountability and oversight. Those are also bad exits. And I know that from firsthand experience. So earnouts are when the guy who wants to buy your business says, listen, I'll give you $80 million for your business, but I'm only going to give you $3 million now. The other 77 million is going to come over the next 5 years as long as we hit these targets, but you got to run the company for the next 3 to 5 years. Those are generally pretty terrible for most people. For anybody listening says, well, mine went great. That's fine. You're an anomaly. Somebody who also could say, I became a millionaire by playing a lottery. Well, that's true, but that's not the norm. That's not normal. So earnouts are generally pretty bad. I have a client who went through a pretty bad one. This is something that when I exited one of my businesses that I failed on. I didn't put A&O in place. I didn't have accountability and oversight. And as a result, ended up losing the business where I thought I had exited it and I was making good money from it. And I was planning on selling it. But because I didn't practice A&O, the company fell apart. And by the time I found out about it, it's too late and I had to shut it down. So that's terrible. It's a loss of millions of dollars in potential revenue, potential, upside, et cetera. So earnouts are a bad way to exit. And if you exit without exiting, but you don't have accountability and oversight, it's also pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, and then as you see this, I see this a lot, right? For businesses and doing the finances and profit first. But I see a lot of times that people have this idea that they're just going to get there. And I think in one of your chapters, you have these like graphs where we're kind of working and making the plan and then moving backwards. What are some ways, and I think it's like reverse engineering.
Yeah.
What would you tell somebody, hey, I want to start a business, and what would you tell them to do to begin the idea of beginning with the end in mind? What are some steps to get there?
Well, in the book, I talk about this idea of like whiteboarding this out. And if you can imagine a big whiteboard, it's 8 feet long, it's 4 feet tall. Top left is where we're going to start. So you're going to draw a box in that top left. This is where you are today. How much money do you make? What do you own? What assets do you have? What's your business? That's today. And then bottom right-hand side of that whiteboard, draw another box. That is where you want to be. And you go through the same things. Where do you want to live? How many homes do you want? What type of assets do you want to own? What business do you have? What type of lifestyle do you have? How much money do you make? How much, whatever. Dream. Like, what do you really want out of that? Now, instead of now that you've defined it and then going back to the top left and working forward, no, you have to work backwards. So if you wanted to make, let's just use $1 million a year as a target, because that seems to be the new 6-figure. Everybody used to say, I want to make 6 figures. Well, now most people, wouldn't say most people, but a lot of people are already making 6 figures. If they're professional, if they're entrepreneurs. Now the next 6-figure thing is, well, I want to make 9 figures or 7 figures. I want to make $1 million a year. Okay. So if that's what you want, well, before you make $1 million a year, what do you have to make? Obviously 999,000, but that's too granular. But there's another step. Like, is it 700,000, 750 that you want to hit first? And maybe it's $500,000 and then 200,000 and you work yourself backwards. And then if you want to own 10 rental properties, well, you can't just buy 10 all at once. It's not likely. Well, maybe you need to own 8 before you own 10 and own 4 before you own 8, et cetera. And you work yourself backwards. And at some point through that process, you'll realize, oh, okay, now I know the first step to go from where I am to where I need to go, because the step all the way from the top left to the bottom right is too big of a leap. Yep. Can it happen? Yeah. Is it likely? No. So we got to go one step at a time, and you got to build backwards from what you want backwards to where you actually are.
Well, and then as I talk to clients, a lot of times I ask, what do you want? And these are almost everybody. Most people don't know what they want.
Yeah, it's sad.
And I'm like, well, what's your goals? And they're like, well, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. And I'm like, well, I'm going to be this, I don't know, not debt free. They want financial freedom by a certain level. And I'm like, well, what are you doing to get there? And they're like, I think I'm going to buy a house or something like that. And this happens every day. Right. And so what you're saying is, first you have to think about it. You have to actually work it through. I would love to know and I'm kind of going off script here. What is your routine for you to kind of keep in line on your goals? Because I'm sure things change. There's always opposition. But do you have a cadence that you have that helps you keep in line for yourself?
Well, one small thing would be this Post-it note right here. But this little Post-it note, what's written on the other side, is stuck right here to the bottom of my computer screen. I see it every single day. It's a desire of how much money I want to earn, in what time, and what I'm going to do in order to achieve it. That's what, and so every day that's there, it's in front of me. I have daily affirmations that are part of my prayer. What I do in the mornings is prayer. There's a Duncan daily affirmation that I wrote for my whole family that I go through every single day. These are things that I do to keep me in line, because there are bad days. There are bad, there's stuff that's going to hit you. There's stuff that's going to punch you in the gut, but we will survive those dips. We will move beyond those things. We just have to keep pressing. So for the routine, it's every morning I go through my affirmations and my prayers and my visualization of what I can see happening. There are things that I wanted to happen by the time I turned 50 that didn't happen. And now I was pushing it out. I'll push it out another year, and this is going to happen by the time I'm 51, et cetera. It's okay if you don't hit it. At least I'm further than I was had I not set that goal, that promise to myself.
Gotcha. So you set those daily or a bigger picture, and then you kind of remind yourself of that through either small habits or also bigger habits.
Yep.
Habit stacking is kind of the way. Have you seen business owners, some of them that they just don't like that kind of stuff, and they're like, it's going to restrict me? Have you seen that in your group where?
I haven't. I know that happens, but the people that we work with, I've not seen that. I think the more common thing is that we find people that are too busy to even think about it. They're just busy going from fire to fire to fire. And of course, that's what our club helps people not do. It's like, we got to slow down and realize we're not a professional firefighter. We're not the hero of our business. We got to figure out how to run this thing a better way.
Yeah. Do you see that sometimes these people love the fire, the chaos?
Yeah, they get used to it. I mean, I can think of one particular client who's been doing his particular business for 30 years. And every time he comes on a call, if he has the opportunity to talk, he's complaining about how much he hates it, doesn't like it, et cetera. But then when you press him on it, he's like, well, I'm the only one who can do X, Y, and Z. Like, no, I don't think you are. Like, there's other people that can do it. Now, has he made progress? For sure. But there's still this mental block. There's a great book called Psycho-Cybernetics. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Yeah. So Psycho-Cybernetics, I read it every year, at least once. I read it in January this year, so I've already read it. Dr. Maxwell Maltz wrote this book, and he describes the cybernetic loop in our brains that's been wired from day one all the way through today, based on our upbringing, based on our experiences. That can be rewired. So if you have a generally negative disposition, that's because you allowed yourself to program yourself that when A happens, then B is going to happen as a result. So A, no matter whatever A is, B is generally negative for you. And we all know those negative people. Well, that's a cybernetic loop. That's a psycho-cybernetic system in their brain. A happens, B happens. Well, if we want to interrupt that, we have to program it to understand that when A happens, we're not going to allow B. We're going to intercept and do something different. And that doesn't happen overnight. That could take months or even years of reprogramming to get yourself out of it. And he teaches this idea of going on a mental diet where you acknowledge the negative reactions that you have to things for a day or two and write them all down. And then for the next 7 days, you do not permit yourself to dwell on any negative reaction. So you can have it, but you can't dwell on it. And then that's a way to reprogram yourself. And I think business owners like the guy I was referring to have just not spent enough time reprogramming his cybernetic loop.
I think that's a hard one for me too. I'm more negative. My wife is more positive, and it sometimes is annoying. I'm like, "Oh, you're so positive." And like, you got to be a realist, but then marrying up. And that's why we're able to do so much more.
Yeah.
Because, man, her positivity is what's gotten us here, even going through floods sometimes. I probably pull it down, who knows? I don't know. But it's a ton, like working in partnerships. Have you seen, as you've worked with some of these clients, where there's the fuel, what is it? Rocket fuel, EOS, visionary and integrator. Have you seen a lot of those a little more successful besides the solo entrepreneurs, or partnerships? Have you seen partnerships work out better than solo entrepreneur kind of world?
Oh, well, I think solopreneurs are only going to be successful in as much as they like to work. If you are a shoemaker and you absolutely love it and there's nothing else in the world you ever want to do, you don't want to take vacations, you don't want to you just want to work all the time. Great, load up, be the guy. That's fine. But for those of us that want a life outside of whatever we consider our occupation, we got to build a business that's not based on who we are. It cannot be based on our heartbeat. It cannot be based on our ability or necessity to show up. So yes, there is a tremendous amount more success in the operators who go from operator to manager to investor. That's the way we kind of position it in the Exeter clubs. There's these 3 tiers of the entrepreneurial evolution. There's an owner operator, there's an owner manager, and there's an owner investor. And there are no billionaire owner operators. They don't exist. The billionaires and multimillionaires in the world are not owner operators. They graduated from that long, long time ago. They moved through the ranks of owner manager, where everything still relied on them, but they weren't doing it. They were managing it, to where one day they finally showed up and they're like, okay, I'm the owner investor of this business. It doesn't require me to be here. It's an investment that I earn money from, and I can still produce if I want, but it doesn't require me to be here.
Yeah, I think that's why Amanda and I have been drawn to some of that, to you as well, is we want to create a movement, right? And a movement cannot revolve just around us, right? Maybe there's producers and other people that are sales that help do that, but it's not just around us. Well, in our kind of role, and this has been a shifting for us in insurance and in even assets under management stuff, we're the ones that bring in the money, right? And so you've seen these people like, how do I create an agency? But they're used to being the person that goes after it. How do you switch from somebody who's, and what is there things different than a person who is a salesperson and somebody who's building a business, a CEO type? What are things that need to shift for that to go from one side to the other?
Well, it's your mindset. I mean, a mindset of an owner operator is survival over strategy. It's like all they're doing is, I want to survive. Every decision is I want to survive. If they're a salesperson, I just want to make the next sale. It's all about survival. It's not about strategy. The owner investor is about asset. Their mindset's totally different. They're thinking about, how does this affect my asset? They're thinking about, if this person is hired, if we implement this system, if we move the real estate over to this location, how does that affect the asset? It's a totally different game that we're playing. If you want to be the owner operator and you love, run an ice cream shop and you just want to be the scooper and you want to do it all, that's fine. Nobody's looking down on you for that. But don't kid yourself into believing that you're some grand entrepreneur who's gone off and lived the American dream. No, you are in a job. You just happen to own the job and you happen to sign your own paycheck.
Yeah. And again, I think that's why I wanted you to be clear on that, because sometimes as we build, there's certain things that when I had the coffee shop, that was a job. And even some of this, I still got to produce. I don't have that team in place yet. So we're still learning as much as we're teaching, but it's knowing where we want to go. And then what are the steps that need to happen, or the team, or all of those investments internally. And your best, and I will tell this to everybody, your best investment is in yourself. So that's why they should hear what you're saying. If they want to exit a business, be real and understand what you're missing, what you're forgetting, because every one of us has blind spots. I know you got to run, but I wanted to share this screen, this video, or not this video, your website. And let me do this real quick. this is your website. And you talk about 83 businesses never sell. That's 100% true. I see that in Profit First all the time. But tell me about this website. This is where we want to lead people to if they're interested in talking to you.
This is a free training that we put together. My team and I put this together for entrepreneurs. If you're doing 3 million a year or more in revenue or 300K in EBITDA, then this is for you. And we're going to go over why 83% of businesses listed for sale never sell, and why and how that applies to you. And for those that are qualified, you can go in and watch this short training. It's a short video, and then you can actually get a call with me if you are interested. If not, there's even more training that we can lead you to after that. So go to whattofixbeforeyouexit.com, and you can sign up whenever you want.
Yeah, let me put that in here. And they're like, oh, I was afraid I was going to get zapped or something. So this is why I like to show the website, because sometimes people are like, I don't know, if I go there, put my number in, they're going to call me. And what I want people to know is having a conversation with Jason or somebody, or being a part of a community, actually will help you grow your business, grow, well, everything. So let me write that again. What is it? The email again?
whattofixbeforeyouexit.com. whattofixbeforeyouexit.com. So if you're looking at the screen, it's the first line under my logo, what to fix before you exit, and just add a .com.
Cool. Awesome. And here you go. That's what to fix before you exit. I think I spelled it right.
Yeah.
.com. So go there. And if you join any of his groups, tell them that Live Counterflow or Wealth Wisdom sent you, because, well, I know a lot of business owners, and I've talked about Jason, and I've talked about, of course, Amanda. Amanda is one of the coaches there, so she gets to share our knowledge, in Profit First and the Bank Yourself world. And so she loves what you guys are doing. We can't share enough how powerful it is, especially for business owners. Any closing thoughts that you want to make sure we did not talk about?
Well, I just want to say that, what we've built here with the Exeter Club, this mastermind for entrepreneurs, it's not just about me and my personality. We have 6 coaches in the program. Amanda, your wife, being our wealth management coach. We have a financial coach, an investment banking / valuation coach. We have a legal coach, and we also have a mindset coach. And so we've got 6 coaches in the program that are all leading you to help you build a business that is actually sellable someday in the future. And if it's you don't want to sell for quite some time, it doesn't matter. We can get you to where you can be that owner investor today, building excellent value, not only in the business itself, but also in the lifestyle that you want to lead.
Awesome. And that's exactly why, again, we're part of it, and learning, because we don't know everything. And to have those different people is super powerful. So thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
And I hope to meet in person, and maybe I'll let you drive my little Mini Cooper one day.
Let's go. Thanks, Brandon.
All right. Well, you guys have a good one. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share, do all the things, because that's what we're supposed to do. And we will see you guys next time.